husband. See, village, when it comes to polygamy, the pure form of village, it's responsibility. It's about community building. It's about what's best for the family. And then we talk about economics, but we can't even have the conversation because so many sisters are looking at this from a sexual context. I'm gonna read this comment I got. It was such a great comment on the post that I did on YouTube. And I think that a lot of us need to be open to other people's point of view. Let me read this. Let's see. Okay. In my comment, I put, as expected, a ton of traumatized women sound ignorant AF about the point of this post. I have no more time to explain because I started blocking you guys. We don't have time to go through this is not for me and all of that, and it's nasty and all of this type of stuff. We don't have time to go through that because all we're talking about in the point of the post is this is a culture where they practice polygamy. We don't need you over here coming looking down on it and all this type of stuff. They accuse me of that enough. My point was that I also find it ironic that we're so accepting of same-sex couples. Well, no, we're not. No, we're not. Yes, you are. Yes, we as a society got through that, no problem. But sister wives, you say sister wives to some black people? I don't even like talking about this because, again, you get so much negative judgment. The judgment is real. The judgment is so real on this. And we have a lot of bitter, broken women who hit the wall, you know, in their love life. And I'm going to tell you guys this here, too. If you're single and this is not a lifestyle for you, it's not for you. And this is about building generational wealth. We're not talking about, and this brother had a really good comment, and I'm going to go to, because it's the newest comment. And a lot of women were saying, oh, well, you know, I'm okay with having more than one boyfriend. That's cool, too. And I'm going to read this to you really quick. This guy, whoever this was, says, I'm reading comments from people that say they are happy being single. And I challenge those people to ask themselves why. Without being presumptuous or assuming, I cannot help but to think that our American capitalist culture makes it possible and often convenient to be single without having to question the long-term consequences of such. As convenient and happy as it may be, it does nothing for our grandchildren, which should be the focus if we value family. Being happily single does not make strong families or happy and healthy children that grow to be well-adjusted adults. It only serves the individual's needs and wants. I understand that not everyone wants children or a family, yet many find themselves in situations with one or both that were not planned, many times due to making decisions that only serve their selfish interests. I do not mean to offend anyone. I only offer food for thought. There are several ways to enlightenment. Being self-serving is not one of them. Now, that was such a good thought because polygamy in its purest form, as I talked about, it's about community, it's about building family, and also it's about economic stability. But if you don't even agree with any of that, what do you have to replace it with? Like, if you don't want to have this conversation, what conversation do you have? Monogamy, checking your man's phone, trying to control a man? The gender war conversation, the relationship, the typical monogamous relationship conversation in the West, I'm not interested in it. I'm not interested in it because I know it doesn't work. And I know it's a fallacy. I know everything as it relates to us Africans when it comes to religion, when it comes to relationships, procreation, marriage. These things need to be completely reevaluated because our idea of romance, Rome has no place in the African mind. So what we've been taught is all built off of fantasy and it doesn't even exist. So when we start talking about systems and blueprints that actually did work, some of y'all say, well, oh, it did, you know, everything about the old way of thinking wasn't good. And I will agree with that. I think that we need to infuse our blueprint from what we learned from our ancestors and what we know now and make it a better system. Like, history doesn't have to be the same. We don't have to keep things exactly the same, but I think some things will stay the same, which is nature, tradition, some of those things. But as far as our application to it, we should be able to apply this in different forms based on who you are. Polygamy is not for everybody, but when we can't have the conversation, sis, brothers, and y'all are so simped out, you're not even empowered to have the conversation because nobody's let you have this conversation without making you feel like you're a piece of trash for even considering it. And there's nothing wrong with this conversation. And it's like, I feel like I'm like a gay person sometimes, like I gotta come out the closet just to even have support for the conversation because it's very practical. This is a very practical way talking about how to set up our families, which the family is the first business anyway. So why can't we talk about this? Why can't we talk about different family structures that do work? Because the family structure that we've been given, taking the man out of the home, having all of these women around here so happily single, and it's so unhealthy, and I don't believe it one bit. So I'm not interested in that either. So you can make your judgments about this. And here's the other thing that I never really enjoyed about having this conversation is immediately, sisters will assume that you want them. Girl, don't nobody want you. Ain't nobody asking for you to be in no polygamous marriage when you come over here to the Gambia. Let me make that very clear. Just because we're having the conversation does not mean somebody's going to try to wrangle you up in the sex trade and make you a third and fourth wife. Like, girl, stop it. Like, the fear is crazy. It's out of control. Just because you've been traumatized, you ain't even had one relationship work out right. Like, let's be real. The people that are having the judgment over this conversation, they're broke. They've been broken in relationships, heartbroken multiple times, and they've never had real good love work out anyway, even in a monogamous relationship. So talking about this it is blowing their mind. Because these are the women that low-key believe all men are dogs. Bless your heart. And that's about 80% of our black women. They drank the Kool-Aid. I had to accept that. This is not beating sisters down. Y'all better go look at my other videos and read this book. Read this book, because a lot of our women, they're just gone. Just like our men. A lot of the men have been programmed to be feminine. A lot of our women have been programmed to be masculine. And they out here talking like men. Well, I could have me a couple of boyfriends then. What purpose would that serve? Okay, so you riding on multiple dicks. How is this building generational wealth for you? And if you do find some men to go along with your little plan to have multiple husbands, I would be so curious to see what they look like. Like, they probably all wear skinny jeans, probably got, you probably got to pay their phone bill. Like, what kind of men?